this is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies!
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around. Woo.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan DeBono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. It's Michael Culture that's got around Dylan DeBono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan...
light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Looks like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan DeBono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in and we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
green and they're off.
First lap. Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tannock and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't implemented it, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if we get a good run. Dodds just absolutely think about it. It's a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to wherever you are watching from in the world. I am your commentator here tonight, Hamish Munro, welcoming you to the IMSA Shadow Series brought to you by SRWtv. And it's round one here tonight. Massive, massive season to come for the pinnacle of sports car racing here on SRWtv. We started out here tonight, round one out at Canadian Motorsport Park. I'll be joined tonight by Tyler Sheaf. When he does end up getting back into the booth with me, but you're stuck with just me for right now, but that's all okay. So, massive night of racing. We had a massive first season of this Sports Car Championship last season here on SRWtv, and it's great to have it back. Absolutely fantastic to have it back. Absolutely, you know, it's one of my favourite series here on the entire for the entire league. Like this here, I think is one of the absolute pinnacles, as I mentioned. One of the namesakes as well for this league. You know, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I apologise that we don't have the live timing up on screen just at the moment. We are quickly reloading it all up. But yeah, also big apologies to everyone that we couldn't broadcast the Shannon's GR86 Nationals last night. Unfortunately, the producer for that show, Toddy, was unwell for the evening, so we were not able to do that. But what we will be doing is we will be producing that on a replay file this coming Sunday afternoon prior to the first round of the Warren and Brown Tools for the Warren and Brown Tools Supercars Pro-Am series. So you're going to get two series of racing this coming Sunday. But yeah, so sorry that could not go live last night, but that will be done off the replay file, as I said. Also, apologies for Wednesday night for the show ending a bit early. We weren't able to get the interviews in with the drivers for the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. Unfortunately, my internet decided to cut out right at the end of the race, and we missed that one. So we're also going to try and get some interviews done during the practice session during round two. We'll be chatting to those blokes then. But tonight, it is the Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series. As I said, sports car racing is back on SRWtv, and I could not be more happy to have this back. And what a great track to have this at as well. Already got a couple people in chat. Buffu saying, woo, first IMSA Shadow of the year, and it's going to be even better throughout this whole year. Adam Hughes asking if we can go on board with Jakey Edwards. We will go on board with him at some point, and we'll see possibly why you need us to go on board with him. I don't think he's out on track. No, he's not out on track at the moment. So whenever he is out on track, we can go on board with him. But yeah, so as I mentioned, tonight I'll be joined by Tyler Sheaf whenever he comes back. He's currently having his dinner. So whenever he comes back from that, we'll ask him what he had, and we'll get the rating from him as well. But yeah, it's going to be a massive night of racing. We've still got qualifying to come here tonight. Currently towards the end of this practice session at the moment. And then we will get into the absolute meat and potatoes of this racing here tonight. So, but if you are new here and you've been here for a while and you haven't yet, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon as well, so you are notified anytime we go live across all 6 nights of racing that we do here on SRWtv. That ranges from the Warren and Brown Tools V8 Supercars series on the Tuesday night, the Wednesday night Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. On a regular Thursday, it's normally the Shannon's GR86 Nationals, the Friday night's Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series, the Sunday night Warren and Brown Tools Supercars Pro-Am, and then the Monday night Motorsport Australia Formula Vs, now being that series is an official Motorsport Australia series, as well as the Thursday night GR86s are also an official Motorsport Australia series as well. Big shout out also goes out to all of our sponsors of the league as well. Warren and Brown Tools, Shannon's Insurance, Neuropower, DSL Welding, Grim Industries. Trying to think of them all. Shunt Scenery. Motorsport Australia as well. And if there's any others that I've missed, that I'll be sure to give them a shout out throughout the rest of the show as well. But yeah, also big shout out to all of our viewers here tonight. As I mentioned, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button as well. Get into the chat if you're watching live. Get into the comments if you're watching after the live stream has ended and you're watching post live stream. Any engagement we can get on these videos and on these live streams and on the channel will help us grow the channel, grow the league, and help produce better racing for you. So, Canadian Motorsport Park, well, it used to be on the IMSA calendar, and I think it's going to lead to some very, very interesting racing here tonight. I've called a couple of races around this track, and they've always led to a little bit of drama and a little bit of carnage. And, well, multiple classes around this circuit is going to be very, very interesting. We have got Sheefy in the chat, so my co-commentator for the night, into the chat watching along. I think I hear him coming back into the booth. I will wait for his confirmation in my ear, though, until I do give him a proper intro if he is here. But, yeah, so GTPs, GTDs, it's going to be absolutely incredible. We've got about 29 drivers out there at the moment, as I said. So it's going to be absolutely magical to see these things absolutely ripping around this track. Let's just see how some of these drivers are going at the moment. We've got Brendan Grotch out there right now. He currently leads this practice session. Car of choice, it is looking like, for the GTPs being the Acura at this stage. For the GTDs, it's looking like it is the Porsche, but the Mercs, there's also a couple of Mercs in there too. Only one Ferrari out there as well. No new Audi, no BMW, no... I'm trying to think what the other car is now. No Lambo either, which is very, very interesting to see. And only one BMW GTP car out on track, 2 Porsches, and 5 Cadillacs. So the Acura is really dominating proceedings in terms of who is driving what. I see Grotch, just a massive tank slapper there in through that corner. Let's see how these drivers can get on getting acclimatized to this track and to these cars as well. But yeah, as I said, big night of racing, and one that I am so looking forward to. It's been a little while since we've been experiencing these sorts of cars. No game. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no game. Let me unmute the game sounds. I do apologize. I had it muted for the intro. Forgot to get it back, but we've got it back now. So thank you for letting me know that's here. Let me know in the chat, guys, what you think of these types of cars. What car you think you would want to challenge this track in, going by class and also by car type as well. If you were to tackle this in the GTP, what would you tackle in the Acura, the Porsche, the Cadillac, or the Beamer? If you were to go GTD, would you go Porsche, Merc, Ferrari, Audi, BMW, Lambo, McLaren, if you want to go in an older car as well? Let us know what you would choose if you were going to be racing in this series. But I think tonight it's going to be interesting to see. As I said, majority Acuras out there for GTPs. It's really going to spice things up. I think the Porsche, I think it's a good choice for those GTDs. Now, there have been some rule changes. Is that drivers only allowed 1 car change per season now, and you cannot change classes. So it means that if drivers are actually going to change their car choice, they have to choose they have to be very, very, very particular about when they choose to change it. We have got some very interesting track choices coming up this season. I spoke to Connor Nixon earlier here tonight, and he said to me, how many car changes have we got? I said, well, we only get 1 this season, so you kind of have to be, as I mentioned, particular about when you select to do it. And he was kind of talking about maybe around Nürburgring we should change or something like that. So, but I mean, the calendar this season is looking absolutely hot and absolutely brilliant. So we start out at Mosport, we then go into Hockenheim, into Le Mans for round 3, Long Beach for round 4, Watkins Glen round 5, Daytona for round 6, go to the Nordschleife for round 7, Sebring round 8, and then down and finish it out at Spa for round 9. So a lot of world famous sports car circuits to come this season. We started out at, I think, one of the more underrated circuits in Mosport, and I think it's going to be, as I mentioned, a big challenge for these drivers. Not only to get acclimatized to this track, but I mean, it's only a small circuit. We're probably only going to see those GTPs coming up on the GTDs within only a couple laps. The GTPs are only doing it about just over 1 minute and 3 seconds for the fastest time. So it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how this works out. Sheefy, are you back in the booth yet? Okay, good. I will give you an intro then. So welcoming back into the booth as well, Tyler Sheaf. Tyler, course, you missed out on being able to commentate last night for the 8.6s, but you're with me here tonight, backing me up. Unfortunately, my regular commentating partner, Thomas Preacher Riley, was double booked for the evening, so he couldn't be here, but we brought you in as a bit of a backup. And I think, you know, these types of cars are gonna lead to some very interesting racing. What's your sort of history around these types of cars?
Oh, yes, definitely for me, the GTPs are something I haven't had a chance to touch yet, but I know for sure the GTDs, or what you call GT3s, I've definitely had a fair bit of experience. My first one back in Sebring, you know, the 12-hour, that was an awesome event, and go to Rockins, then the last one was Fuji. So with these cars here, I'm more used to the longer distance. You know, you've got to keep your car on pace. You can't push yourself 100% all the time, because, you know, you make a silly mistake, you know, with the car around you, there goes your chance of winning. So in a 45-minute race, which I have done a few of, it's very, very tricky, because you got to balance the car to push it as fast as possible, because you only have to do one pit stop and that's it. And yeah, it's just challenging just to push it to the 110%, because a lot of these drivers are very, very quick and very skillful.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to take these types of cars to a sprint format, right, compared to an endurance format. Endurance races are all about staying as clean as possible and just trying to minimize any mistakes you can. Where the sprint format is, well, you kind of still need to do that, but you also need to kind of make a move on. There's no like waiting for someone else to make a mistake. You need to get aggressive early, where, you know, even with the Daytona 24-hour only a couple of weeks ago, people would be waiting for 22 odd hours before the final 2 hours before they can make an assault on someone who stayed just as clean as them. As we talk about cleanliness, title landing goes off track. But yeah, I think, you know, staying clean and staying consistent is the name of the game when it comes to sports car racing, no matter if it is sprint or endurance. I mean, the Michelin Pilot Challenge proved that already out at Daytona during the Raw for the 24, because it proved that drivers were actually having to, you know, stay clean to get there in the end. I remember race 1 during the Raw, the Mustang GT4 car managed to get its way from the back of the field to the front of the field, or that GSX field, just by staying clean and just by picking positions up over the course of the 45 minutes. So, you know, even though you may not have had experience in the GTP, the real only difference is in driving style is GTP has to deal with having to pass GTD cars, where the GTDs have to deal with being passed by the GTP cars. So it's, you know, it's kind of a catch-22 in that way, where they're polar opposites in one thing, but they're exactly the same in another. So it could really offer up some interesting differences throughout the whole field.
Yeah, I definitely believe you on that one, as we see a few drivers just trying to set the hot laps, but unfortunately we just see one of the drivers just hitting the rear end into the wall and had to restart all over. But yeah, I definitely got a chance to commentate and race this last season. I know Silverstone for me was a bit of a nightmare after the restart. I know for sure I forgot cold tyres after one lap and lost it in the first corner, just driving the Porsche. So I know for sure that these drivers here, they obviously not much more experience. They try to warm their tyres up as soon as possible. I just see a few more drivers just struggling out there. But you see, Brighton already got the quickest times, 104.4 in the GTPs. You don't see the GT3s out there yet because it is split qualifying. But what's your thoughts on this lot for this season?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, looking at the entry list, it's looking very competitive, of course. And in fact, we have the you know, both admins are on duty here tonight. I'm here as a commentator, and then Stefan is out there as a racer. But I think this field's really going to offer up its own challenges and its own kind of nuances about it. As Whiting goes top once again, he loses pole, gains it back again. 1 minute 4.075 is the lap time for him. But I mean, you know, Whiting's no stranger to endurance racing. In fact, OSR, the league that he runs, have got the upcoming Bathurst 12-hour in a couple of weekends' time, which will be very interesting to see how that pans out. I'll be competing in that event. In fact, I actually have to do a rig swap with one of my drivers that are driving with me. We're driving on the same rig, and pretty much he'll do a stint, someone else will do a stint, and in that period between, I'll swap over with him, and then I'll get in for a stint after the other person. So, but yeah, I think, you know, we've got a lot of the returning drivers from last season. A couple of drivers who haven't come back, possibly due to work commitments or other commitments as such. But I think, you know, this series, it's good to see that we still have a good amount of drivers coming back and competing in this series, as it's a good practice for officials and even for special events coming up throughout the year. I mean, we've only just started the special event calendar with the D24. Next big event for these cars is the Sebring 12 Hour coming up at the end of Feb. So, it's really going to work out well for these drivers to get this practice and get some laps in. Of course, we go to Sebring at the end of the season, round 8. So whether that comes up before the 12 Hour does is really going to determine how some of these drivers may do. If the 12 Hour comes up first, you may actually see the drivers who commit to doing the 12 Hour in their car of choice will actually do better in this series for that race, because they'll actually have the practice for it. Where if the 12 Hours after that race, they'll use this series as a bit of a practice run for it, just to get a nice a stint practice in for these cars and for that race. So, but I mean, as a GTD driver yourself, how do you think you would tackle kind of controlling your driving and letting these cars go by? Because obviously the rule of thumb is stick to your line. The GTPs will come around you.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. You can get into a couple of sticky situations, but you just got to learn to read and adapt. If you're battling with someone, you just hope you're both on the same page. If you especially see these guys, they fly past you before you know it. So you just hold your line, just keep it nice and clean. Don't do any silly moves. Just normal braking point, everything like that. They can fly by you before you know it. Just I know for sure from experience, just making a slight mistake of just daydreaming or not paying attention to your motors behind when they approach you, you can get rear-ended very, very easily. And especially someone like me, I've driven the Force a fair bit in endurance. A rear-end drive car, that can ruin your night very, very quickly. So yeah, just keeping the same position on every corner, every straight. Don't change anything up. By the time it's a couple hours in, when you've done so many laps and they've tried past you 5-10 times, they understand exactly how you're going to make a move. And they just read you easy. Yep, you're not going to move on me. I'm just going to go here, see you later. And the advantage as well with the IMSA for tonight's race, these drivers get a chance to actually race with each other. So when it does come into endurance, yes, I know I-rate is a massive key factor. But if they're in the same lobby as each other, they actually understand how they drive, and they'll be able to, they can communicate without saying a word, and they know exactly what the person can do. So we see Dougie Gowans with massive contact there.
I was about to ask you about Dougie. Of course, he's your teammate. Didn't hold brakes there, tried to get out of the way, and unfortunately, the other driver there just didn't know where to go in that situation. But Dougie has actually now pipped Mr. Michael Whiting for provisional pole position at the moment. 1 minute 3.929 is the current pole sitting time. They're about halfway through the session now. Remembering these GTP drivers get 15 minutes and then they go in, the GTDs come out, they get 15 minutes for qualifying. So it's quite, challenging. Obviously, I speak to Cowie about this a lot for the F3s of you only get 15 minutes to set a lap. You cannot really make mistakes. You kind of need to stay as clean as possible because you got to get the cars up to temp, the tyres up to temp. That can sometimes take 2 or 3 laps to get that to happen. And then suddenly, you've had an incident on the 12th minute. You don't get another shot at a time because you're not going to have enough time to get the car warmed up and up to pace for that final run on that 15th minute. So, and I think, going back to what you're saying about sticking to your line and stuff like that, it does take 2 to tango, obviously. The GTPs can't just drive through a lower class car. They have to be patient as well. There are spots on this circuit where you cannot go past a GTD car because it's not an overtaking opportunity. We can see Michael just pulling over there for one of the Frog Leap Juice racing cars. But the corner they're coming up to here, the double right, unless you can get it done under brakes, you're just going to have to sit behind the lower class car around this double right because there's nowhere that you can really get it done. They're going to have the power advantage out of the corner, so you can just stream on by them down this incredibly long straight. So, I think a bit of patience is going to be key for the prototype drivers, but I also think a bit of awareness is going to be key for those GTD drivers as well.
Another advantage as well, just memory just lit up for me, the IMSA series as well, it gives you 15 minutes of quality. From my memory, when you do massive endurance races, you only get 2 laps to make a real good clean lap. So with these ones here, you should be able to see quicker lap times because the tyres are up to the perfect temperature. Driver's a lot more comfortable, a bit more rubber on the track. So yeah, compared to your 6, 12, 24-hour endurance, I think this is a lot more beneficial for the drivers out there doing their quality laps.
Yeah, and I think that's a big selling point for this series as well, where compared to the officials, you do get that extra time to qualify, as Brendan Groach has actually gone to the top of the timing sheet as he runs wide there at the double right, goes 1 minute 3 seconds, 0.53. Michael Whiting might be a little bit salty with himself that he actually let him go, because that's what led Brandon to get the fastest lap. Great to have Connor Nixon in the chat. Great to have you here. Hope you're ready for your qualifying lap. Of course, you mentioned we had a bit of a chat with Connor prior to the race, especially about where he might choose to do that car change, that car swap over. I think what might actually catch a few people out, and drivers are going to have to be smart about this, and I'm going to say this so everyone is aware, when we come up to Le Mans, last season, majority of the field changed to the Cadillac because it is the strongest car in a straight line. You may not want to do that this time, because you're going to have to then do 5 or 6 more races in that car, and it's probably not going to be best suited for tracks like Long Beach or possibly even Watkins Glen. So again, there's going to be a massive strategic value of what car you start with, and if you change cars, which one you actually change to as well.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a touch and go kind of game, because when you're thinking about it, you get comfortable in one car, then you swap your car around. You got to change everything around. All your setup's got to be a little bit different because they're different car brands. They adapt a little bit differently, and sometimes it can actually throw you out. So yes, okay, you might be able to get a car that benefits you, but you might not adapt to that car as quickly as well as others. So is it more beneficial to actually just stick with the car that you're comfortable with and that you've been driving with for the season? Or do you want to take the gamble and go, okay, I'm going to have a crack at trying to push my skills to the limit and be able to drive a second car for the season?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think, if I was in the position, I'd probably pick a car that's comfortable around the majority of the calendar, right? And then decide, is there another car that is as comfortable as this at a certain point in the season that I can switch to and it will remain as comfortable for the rest of the season? So if we get to Long Beach, for example, and you've been driving the Acura and say you want to change to the Porsche, is the Porsche as comfortable? Yeah, I've seen your message, Stephen. I don't need you to let me know. It's on screen now. Don't worry. You don't need to direct me about that. We've got it on screen. You really need to determine what is going to be, as I mentioned, beneficial. It's the same for the GTD cars as well. It also can come down to what you're actually comfortable driving too, because the majority of the GTDs, for example, some of them can be completely different to the rest of them, and you may be more suited to a front engine car than a rear engine or / mid engine car. So there's a lot of things that are at play here, in terms of that happening. So, but I mean, just to give the quick rundown at the moment for qualifying, as we sit, we've got 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes left in qualifying. Brandon Groach currently has the provisional pole position time of 1 minute 3.53 seconds. Dougie Gowans sits P2 with a 1:03.93. Michael Whiting comes in third, 1:04.075, and then Adam Simpson comes in behind him. Stefan McCartan in P5. Jamie Davis, P6, Jake Edwards, P7, Simon Mazzomo, P8, Patrick Frame, P9, Ash Davis makes up the top 10. Tron Maguire, Jason Chin and Ty Delaney just trying to fight hard here just to get into the top 10. A couple of drivers have not set a time yet, being Josh King and Jamie Christensen. So, we're getting down into the final moments here, Sheafy, and there's not much time left for these drivers to really get a lap in and try and move up the timing tower as Stefan gets up into P3 in his Porsche. Goes 1:04.057, so just pipping Michael Whiting off the top 3 positions here. Just on board with Stefan actually being the admin for this series, although there will be no special treatment towards himself out there by race control. He is out there as a driver, as the rest of the field is as well. We'll see here if he gets a good crack in for this final lap.
It could be very interesting as well, considering that once the 15-minute goes off, if you're on a lap, you can finish a lap. So, don't be worried if you see the GTPs still out there doing their final laps. So, As long as they cross past the finish line before the 15-minute mark, they get to finish their lap.
Actually, in saying that, Brendan Groach has just gone purple in the first sector, although he goes orange in the second, so this could be better or as good. Comes round across the line. What's the lap time look like for him? He goes 103.496, so only a sliver faster than his previous best. And that right there could be enough for him here to clinch pole out here tonight for Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for round number 1 of the Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series. Well, Sheafy, there's not many GTP cars left out there. I think only Jason Chin's the only one left out there. The GTDs are coming out now to start their times. See if Chinny can better his time. He's gone green in the second. What's he going to do in the final? As he comes around the final corner here to cross the finish line. What does the fishy driver get out of it? He cannot better that time, unfortunately, for him. Or he goes personal best, but it does not gain him anything. So that will be our qualifying for the GTPs, as the GTDs are now out on track. And here is our one and only Ferrari out there, Mark Cochran. I have actually just seen we now have a Lambo as someone has joined late, so I'll put that one to the list. Hopefully nothing screws it up for me.
It's good to see that the GTDs, they do have such a variety of cars out there. As someone that's just happy with the Porsche, and I don't mind a little bit of the BMW and Merc, as I had experience. What's one GTD car that you would love to see in iRacing?
Oh, mate, I've already got the answer, and I found it out at Daytona. I cannot select one because I think they actually need to come together. It's the Corvette and the Mustang. But I think if think about realistically what we need, and both those cars have been scanned. They got scanned at Daytona. Realistically, what are we likely to see, and what I'd like to see is the new McLaren as well, because we are overdue for an update on that car. I would have loved to have seen the Lexus or the Bentley when they were kind of prevalent, but then kind of no longer prevalent anymore. So, yeah, I really want the Mustang and the Corvette, because if ever because the current landscape of supercars, for example, is looking like the Gen 3's car is going to be the last supercar, and they're likely going to go towards a GT style. At least we'll already have the cars that would likely be the choice for those replacements in the Mustang and the Corvette.
Yeah, no, that's definitely two fair choices, especially with Ford reintroducing himself back into Formula 1 with the engines. No, they're still trying to dominate the sporting world out there, just quietly doing so, but yeah, for me, for GTDs, I'm happy with the variety that we already have. I don't want to oversaturate it too much, but like what you said, it's always good to see another brand in. I know certain personnels love following the favourite driver that drive for a certain manufacturer, or just the manufacturer themselves. So we see a few of the drivers completing their first lap as it's just rolling through. I know Faulkner's got the quick time so far, followed by Nixon, Jones, Dodge and Barber, but they've still got 12 minutes to go before it is cemented, so most of these guys just first lap out.
Yeah, mate, and as we've kind of been saying, these times are really going to trickle down throughout the rest of this session. These are just, they're just first laps. If they can keep their car clean and stay out there for the 15 minutes, they might come in for a splash of fuel or no fuel and just take some tyres just to kind of get, the car freshened up, ready to go for a final run. So, don't expect these times to stay where they are. They will slowly trickle down. Normally, the GTDs are about 10 seconds or so slower than those GTP cars. So we'll probably see the times down to around about 1:13, I would say, at the top end of the table. But, I mean, Faulkner, he's done well in that first lap. Nixon in behind his teammate. He's done well there to get into P2 as well. As we mentioned, we had a good chat with him prior to the race. And Ryan Jones, one of the other Porsches out there, currently sits in P3. In fact, let's get up our car logos on screen. Actually, we'll get that going as well, because then we can actually see where drivers are in terms of what they're running here tonight. Although not all the logos are actually loading up, so we're not going to do that. Why would you just not want to work for me at this stage?
I did see top 5 are all in the Porsche, so they're doing me proud at the moment. But yeah, definitely it's interesting choices, you know, every end, you know, you've got to be really careful with that, because if someone hits you from behind, not paying attention, coming to the corner, so and so, that's your night done. That's just a lot of damage. There is a fast repair, but determining if there's a safety car or not, that can be very, very costly for the night. So, but let's do a couple of different cars out of it. I can see Green Merc and Greggy Lee. It was good to see him out there racing tonight, but yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing exactly who can actually make the most out of their own cars. I definitely know that if one certain car with the quickest, everyone would be driving it. But that is definitely not the fact. I have seen a lot of people upset the results in just driving a different car, and everyone go, oh, that's going to be slow, and then next minute they absolutely smash you on the track. And I think that's happened to the Ford once. The Ford came out, and only 2 people had it, and they were P1 and P2, which I couldn't believe.
We have also got a couple more comments in the chat as well. Mr. Iceman back again, giving the love for Mark Cochran. And then we've also got the second most famous man in the Vet Split 1 group, I guess you could say, Simon Mazzomo. I say second most famous because he has to come in behind Scotty Rankin, who he commentates with on that series. But yeah, so I mean, me and Mez have some good banter sometimes. Andrew Dyson at the moment though, he's looking real pacey in that Porsche, fastest first sector of this qualifying. But he looks like he's actually kind of on an outlap at the moment, so I'd be eager to see what his pace is going to be in that Simrigs entry. As he goes green in the second, so this could actually be quite an impressive time here, even though he was weaving down the straight.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to put a banker lap in and off he goes. He definitely found some pace in the first sector, which can be very crucial. You see the own in the third, so definitely just taking it nice and easy, only putting him up to P9. So maybe he just wasn't happy with the tyre temperature. It wasn't up to where he wanted it to be. Maybe just a driver in front of him. But it'll be interesting to see how quick he goes this lap.
And also just to kind of speak about as well, you might notice some of these GTDs, we don't have the number boards on them. I wanted to get the collection of drivers in their cars and then apply the number boards tonight for next week, because it was going to help me make it a bit easier for me to do that. So I also ran out of time as I was trying to organize everything for the overlays and everything like that. So we will have those on screen and on the cars for next week. Although I do know that some drivers have already got them in their cars, which is massively appreciated, if I can get that word out correctly. As Greggy Barber has actually gone P2 and Jono Kiley is P3 in this session at the moment. Jono, a former Vets competitor, called his action for quite a few seasons in Split 2. Hasn't come back this season, unfortunately, but good to see he's back in the GTD cars, which he had come from previously before coming into Vets. So it's good to see, and he's still got the pace as well, which is good, as he's currently chasing down. I believe it might be Connor Nixon just ahead of him. Yes, it is. So we'll have to see how these boys go racing around each other here tonight. Kylie currently higher up on the standings than what Nixon is in terms of qualifying position. But will we see this in the race? Will we see Nixon get past Kylie and Kylie having to chase him down?
Yeah, just while you chatting just then, I just heard Dyson set 2 purple sectors, first and third, and a green in the second to put him up to P1. So that was absolute stellar lap, but Faulkner here, he's trying to say, no, I'm not P1 instead. Had 2 purple sectors and jumped straight back to P1. Only 200ths of a second difference between him and Dyson, so had a very, very competitive time.
Absolutely nothing in it between those guys. Top 6 cars at the moment are Porsches, and then it's Harry Dodds in his Merc in P7. And then Benjamin Brook not too far behind, his teammate also in the Merc out there too. So currently it goes Porsche, Merc, Porsche. That's the top 10. So we can see that there is one car that is slightly better out there here tonight, but that may not be the case for the whole season. As I mentioned, you know, certain tracks, certain cars, suit certain cars. I am disappointed though that there are no BMWs out there for the GTDs, because that car is an absolute weapon in my opinion. But maybe it's not quite as strong due to recent BOPs and stuff like that. So I understand why maybe some people aren't choosing it, but maybe we'll see someone take it throughout the rest of this season in terms of a car change or a debutant as well.
Yeah, and talking about Ferrari as well, obviously we all know the news that came confirmed this morning, but It's amazing. It's such a big name of a brand, Ferrari, when you think about it. It's normally the red prancing horse, but what's your thoughts on the Ferrari's brand new cars? I know that they upgraded to the 448 or 296 from memory. Have you had a chance to drive that car?
I have not. I currently, and I'm very disappointed in myself for this, I currently own 2 GTD cars. I own the BMW M4 and the Lamborghini Huracan Evo, which needs an update. So over like the last year and a half, they've updated the majority of the field of GTDs, namely the 296, the Porsche, the Merc, which I never even owned the first edition of the Merc either. But they've updated the majority of this field, and I just haven't had an opportunity to buy them because pretty much halfway through last year I stopped racing on iRacing because I didn't have a chance to have my rig set up. So I don't know. I don't know what car I would choose out of this lot that I don't have. Possibly the Fez, because it opens up more officials for me, because it means I could go do the Ferrari Challenge in D class if I really wanted to die on track. Maybe even the Porsche. Maybe I'm just saving myself for when they do actually bring the Mustang and the Corvette out, and I'm just like, I'm buying both of those. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned like not oversaturating the GTD field. The issue is there's that many manufacturers now in GT racing, not only in IMSA but in WEC, in Intercontinental GT Challenge, and their regional GT challenges as well. So there's that many now that we'll never have them all, most likely. I mean, we'll never have any that are strictly in WEC, which is why we'll never see, we won't see the Ferrari in iRacing because it is a WEC only GTP car. But at least we get the Lambo when that comes out, because that'll be in IMSA as of the Sebring 12 hour. But we'll have to wait and see when these cars come out and which ones are going to be the favourites when they do. Great to have Matty in the chat as well. Both him and Adam Hughes giving up a big shout out to CXR and Sam Catagazinos, of course, driver in the F3. He's had a great night out on Wednesday night. Saying good day to us in the chat. So great to have you here, Sam. You did pretty well to get that class win on Wednesday night. It was good to see from you. Yeah, I mean, we're 27 minutes into this qualifying session, Sheafy. We're coming up to the real, workers' end of this qualifying session now. 27 out of 30 minutes. These cars have been out there for 12 of them. They've only got 2.5 minutes now to set another good time in there. But it's looking more and more likely that Faulkner is the man to beat at this stage in terms of on-track pace.
Yeah, he definitely found a rhythm. You see purple sector 1, 2, and owned for 3. But still, it's a massive improvement by almost a tenth and a half there with a 15.422. So that's an absolute stellar of a lap. Obviously put a bit more of a gap between himself and Ireland as well as Dyson and P3. But these boys here, they all improving. See Connor Dixon all green, Benici all green, Kyle Stephen Taylor green as well. So these drivers are getting more and more pace. But the question is, can anyone catch up to Faulkner?
I mean, I think Dyson showed some good pace in there. Nixon had pace at the start of the session. As I said, Ireland currently on for some good pace too. What might be though the changing factor is those race conditions. How are they going to go when they're in amongst their traffic and they got GTPs coming around them and stuff like that? That could realistically change the game. We know that with this multi-class racing, we're more than likely to see an incident between the two classes coming together. That could be a game changer as well. The leader of GTD could be taken out by a GTP car or vice versa. So it's qualifying is one thing, getting into the race is a completely other ball game, and one person could run away with it, or we could just see someone absolutely rise up through the ranks because they have that in-race consistency, as we spoke about, to just pick their way through the field and stay out of incidents throughout the whole race.
And definitely strategy is another thing as well. I know I'm a little bit upset. I know a lot of people are upset that the clutch and the fuel economy on the GTDs have been taken away from us as drivers to be able to put into strategies. But you still got the pit strategies involved. If a safety car does come out early, do you pit for an undercut? Can you fuel save enough to get through there? Just depending on the time and situation as well. And a lot of these drivers here, especially the more experienced one, they capitalise that from the get-go. You know, they want to make every chance possible to move one position or more. Just with a click of a fingers, we see Dyson just pulling to the side. But yeah, it was very, very interesting to see exactly what's going to happen. If anyone that hasn't crossed over the checkered flag in the next 10 seconds, they will not be able to complete their lap. So it'll be very intriguing to see if anyone can make the last gas to try and beat Faulkner for P1.
Dyson there got oh so close in the end, and 200ths of a second off the back of Faulkner's time, but fortunately Dyson's qualifying session has come to an end. There's not many drivers out there now who could realistically take up the opportunity and take on the chance to claim P1 off of Ben Faulkner at this stage. Faulkner is coming around. This doesn't seem to be an absolute barn burner of a time. The only one currently that I can see with the green sector is Kyle Stevens as he crosses the line. Does he go better? I believe he does, but it doesn't get him any better positioning out there. Harry Dodds has had a green sector as well, but how's this final lap going to be for him? Qualifying is over. Checkered flag has now flown, so this is the final opportunity for these cars to get these times in and improve their positions. Otherwise, Ben Faulkner will claim pole position for the GTD class here tonight for round 1 of the Warren and Brown IMSA Shadow Series out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Doddsy comes round, so does Cochran. What are the times going to be for them as we cross the line? Doddsy goes better, up to P6, so he now splits the Porsches as Barber bests his time, though, and just slots in ahead of Harry Dodds there. Doddsy would have been absolutely flying off that lap, but Barbs just comes in and absolutely cuts him down to size and really gives him a bit of a reality check. But at this stage, it is Ben Faulkner on pole for these cars.
No, definitely a wonderful achievement for Faulkner to take out the first pole position for the GTDs tonight. First for the year as well, so congratulations on that with Dyson and Ireland rounding out the podium for there. But yeah, we've still got Jones, Nixon, Barber, followed by Dodge, Keeley, Madden and Bonucci rounding out the top 10. There is others outside that top 10 as well, which will be, very determined to try and break into the, not just into the top 10, but hopefully top 5 in the race. Maybe they're a bit more stronger with 45 minutes underneath their belt rather than 15 minutes of qualifying.
Well, let's just check out how our grid looks here for tonight. Brendan Groach will start on pole position for Frog Leap Juiced Racing with a time of 1:03.496. He'll start just alongside Velocity Sim Labs. Doug Gowans out of P2. P3 will go to Stefan McCartan for CXR, just ahead of Fishy Motorsports' Michael Whiting out of P4. His teammate Adam Simpson will then start just in behind him in P5, with Jamie Davis coming in for P6 here tonight. Jake Edwards will then start at P7, just ahead of Simon Mazzomo for 9.5 Sim Sports, with Patrick Frame coming in P9 in behind. Ash Davis will then make up the top 10 here tonight on the grid, with Jason Chin and Troy Maguire a Fishy Motorsports double for P11 and 12 in behind them. We then have Ty Delaney coming in for P13, just ahead of Josh King at P14, with Jamie Christensen starting at a P15. Sheafy, how's the GTDs look?
Yeah, Ben Faulkner was starting in P16, but overall first in the class. So behind him is Andrew Dyson and Chris Ireland. You've got Ryan Jones in P19 and Connor Nixon P20, or say P5, with Greg Barber behind them and Harry Dodds. John O'Cleley is in P23, followed by Jason Madden in P24. And then just behind him is Sean Benici in the Frog Leap Juiced Racing in P25 and Benjamin Brook in 26. Kyle Stevens is starting in 27, followed by Mark Cochran in 28th. And behind those two is Joe Ardy and Greg Leake rounding out the field.
And a big thank you as well goes to our race controllers here tonight. Tyson McAvoy and Thomas Freeman as well. Big thank you to them. Without them, we could not go racing out here tonight. It'd make it very difficult for us, Sheafy, but these guys are going to have to do a whole lap behind the safety car for their rolling start. Got Jesse McMenamin in the chat as well. Let's go the Froggies. Sam Catacasino saying, have at it, Doug Gowans. Mez asking us bets on a GTD end up in the grandstands. I would give that a 50-50, wouldn't you, Sheafy?
I mean, nah, these boys should be a bit more better. It's not like officials are. We always give them a good big chance of not finishing in the grandstand after turn 1, but nah, they should be pretty good and clean.
Yeah, let's hope that they can get it all set and ready to go. I will just quickly say as well. Well, I think, you know, it's going to be a good night of racing, and we're going to have the lights up. We're going to do a lap behind the safety car, and then it's going to be rolling start for these boys. GTDs are going to have to kind of hang back a bit and let the GTPs kind of just roll away and have a nice little gap in case we have any carnage here on the first lap, Sheafy.
Yeah, I definitely know for sure. Silverstone was a good example how the GTPs, they had a massive incident before we even came across the start-finish line. So, you know, anything can happen. But the main game is if a GTP does have a massive incident, up to the GTDs to make sure they just keep it nice and clean, keep it safe. Everyone does the right thing. I understand they want to try and capitalise on the position, but I'd rather have a car in one piece.
Well, I mean, we can see those GTP cars coming around up through the first sector here. As I mentioned, it's going to be a full lap behind the safety car for these boys. They are going to just kind of have to get into their rhythm, get into their zone here for this start. It's going to be a hectic start off the line for both classes here tonight. Sheafy, what do you reckon the bet is that we're going to get something that happens on turn 2?
Oh, it's high. I mean, it is Mosport. I know a lot of people do find off track pretty easy down here, but maybe I'll give them lap 2 instead of turn 2 for something to happen.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would say thanks to the fact that the GTDs have actually kind of given some gap up to those prototypes. I think maybe lap 2 could be an option here. But you know, these are smart drivers. I'm not saying they're definitely going to have an incident around there, but it is a corner that can lead to carnage at some point in this race, so we will be keeping an eye on that corner. Sam letting us know that he loves this track. I do too. I think it's an absolute beautiful circuit. It's great for production cars, great for this sort of racing as well. It can even lend itself well to supercars racing too.
Definitely good. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what these boys do tonight. GTDs, GTPs, whatever you want to call them, is up to you, but I'm definitely looking forward for the IMSA Series. Dougie Gowan's just starting on the outside, so it's going to be very interesting to see what he does in that car.
Well, Sheafy, we're about to get underway. The safety car will pull into the lane, and the leader, Brendan Grotch, will have control of the field for the start of this race. Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series will get underway. We wait for the lights to go out here for round 1 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We are go for the GTPs here. Down through turn 1 we come. Can they stay as clean as possible? They look pretty good at the moment. Oh, I tell you what, Grotch has got a massive lead as we come through. Let's quickly check out how the GTDs are going to go here off their start. Got the double view going, so we've got the GTPs on the bottom right corner there. GTDs coming round the final corner now to start their lap. As we come on through. Who's going to have the run here, Faulkner or Dyson? Off the start line we go, and the GTs are underway as well.
What a fantastic start there. Got the jump start ahead of P2, and just they kept it nice and clean so far. I haven't seen any major contact in either classes, so yeah, your lap corner 2. Oh no, just when I said it, there is the Foglit car on the grass there. Not a good sign, but you see Benici unfortunately made a massive error and fallen a lot of positions behind, but no, still got 45 minutes to catch up to all the boys ahead as well.
He does, mate, but Faulkner still leads the way here for these GTDs. Brendan Grotch has now started his second lap of this race. He still leads the way. First lap out was a 108.321, and he'll just be hoping just to consolidate this lead as good as possible for him here. But he's got Dougie Gowans, your teammate, still rolling on him behind, trying to get up as much as he can. Josh King has gone off, though, down at turn 3. Manages to keep it off the wall, so just trying to stay nice and clean here tonight for him. Just trying to stay out there as good as possible. Jamie Davis has started. Oh, no, he's had big contact. Let's quickly check here what's happened. I mean, he's come... he is struggling at the moment.
Yeah, that car doesn't want to turn. You can see that right front does not exist. It's only just hanging on the rim. Just watch the replay here, see exactly what happened. It's a massive battle pack here. And it's just gone dead straight.
Yeah, he's not had an ability. He hasn't been able to turn that in. I mean, nowhere to go. Obviously, cars up the inside, but he should have been able to make that corner. But yeah, just no turning off that Cadillac.
Yeah, just maybe just a little bit of an error in the setup, or just forgotten. Cold tyres can be very, very harmful if you do not go on the driving line. He's probably on the marbles and just said no, thank you for the grip, and just went dead straight into the wall. So he has a long way back to the pitch.
He's got that front wheel hanging off at the moment. I reckon this incident might explain why that's happened to him. What's he done here? Oh, he's just lost it off the exit of the final corner, and that will explain why his tyre is hanging off that car. Josh King's also had an incident in the GTPs. What's he done here in his Cadillac? He's come up through turn 4, up towards the double at 5. Oh, has he just run it wide here? Yep, just spun it round. So easy to do in these cars.
Yeah, just watching the leader at the moment of the GTPs. They're already overtaking the GTDs. There's already 3 cars, I believe, lapped. So it only took them just 2 to 3 laps to catch from the back, and now he's got to be really careful just managing traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I did say that it would not take long for these guys to catch them. I'm just going to change one of my settings so we don't get any of that blinking here tonight. But yeah, it's I said it would not take long, as Josh King's had another incident. What's he done here? So he's come through, round up towards the final corner, as he just looped it as well. Yeah, those tyres are cooked, and almost exactly the same as Greg Leakes had an incident too. It's already going off. You were right, Chief. It was going to be around about lap 2, and Leakey, he's lost that rear end. There's a bit of damage on it, and he's just trying to get back to the pits at this stage.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see if you either got hit from behind from maybe the faster car to GTPs. That might have caused a little bit of damage on the rear end there, but yeah, just got to be really careful, you know. It's only 1 minute lap almost for the GTP, so you catch up to the GTDs in roughly 2 to 3 laps, especially with 30-second gap between the starts. So see these boys here just got to do the right thing. As you see Connor Nixon up in P4, he's trying to stay on the back of Island, but he's doing a really good job just keeping a fair bit of a gap between the 2 boys.
Yeah, he's done well here. He's up 1 spot. Ryan Jones has dropped a spot as well. Yeah, he's just trying to stay as clean as possible, as I said. And I mean, it is a game of survival, as we've mentioned. As Patrick Frame has gone off the track here, off the entry of 3. That Acura is now parked up, and I reckon we could be getting a tow here quite possibly.
Yeah, it's not moving, so normally when that happens, it's got severe damage. So intriguing to see what the race control calls on this, as could be safety car. It doesn't look like
these cars. These guys are going pretty slow at the moment. I don't know if the safety car's out on. Yeah, they are. So the GTPs aren't allowed to go past them at this stage. So I'd say we are indeed possibly going to be under safety car. Race control's not out on track, so I'm waiting for the safety car possibly. He's still sitting there, and here he comes. So yes, we are now going to be under safety car here, and we're only a couple of minutes into this session, Sheafy, only 5 or so, just under 6 minutes into the session. So it is now going to be a safety car period. And I guess what's going to be, you know, the interesting thing is do these guys come in, put a bit of a splash of fuel, you know, try and get a gain on their opponents, or do you reckon they just stay out being so early in this race?
I mean, if you're really, really comfortable with the car and you believe you can fuel safe and be just as quick, I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of boys do go into the pits. If you just see one diving straight into the pits there. If you're at the back, you definitely roll the dice. You want to go in the pit, you know. So if you had to pit again, you're underfueling the car. So you don't lose as much time in the pit stop, and you can actually undercut or overcut the cars that stayed out there. So it'll be intriguing to see exactly what the situation is between a few of the boys. See Greg Barber for the GTDs entering the pitch. See, from 7th place onwards with another 3 more drivers just entering into the pit for GTPs. So they definitely believe that going now, feel safe for a lap or 2 under the safety car, and you might be able to make it home without coughing over the finish line.
Where is our safety car? He's just up the road here, so he's actually pulled up the leader of the GTD class now. These guys should not get... Oh, he's just giving us a cheeky flash because he's on screen. I don't think he would let these GTDs go past. I think what's the likely scenario is they filter in behind the GTPs. That might be the easiest scenario here, because you don't want to have your GTP leader stuck behind the GTD cars here off the restart. Don't worry, Shiv, as well. I know that you were struggling a little bit saying GTDs. I struggled for such a long time when I used to broadcast IMSA because it was GTD instead of GT3. Oh, they're just giving them the wave around. So the GTDs are now going to get let around. And it's so close to GT3 and GTP as well. I'm getting a little bit of blink here. I reckon it's because we're sharing into Discord. But yeah, I think it's, you know, it is one of those things that can be quite hard to kind of get used to saying. Eventually, after you say it for a while, you just get used to saying it. But, you know, it's not like with the Michelin Pilot Challenge where GT4s are now GSXs. So at least it's actually different to, you know, different sounding to what the regular class name is. But yeah, I think, you know, it's getting that early pit stop in has probably actually benefited quite a lot of those guys who did come in early. So McCartan, Edwards, Mazomo, Davies, Maguire, those guys have all come in. They've all put a little bit of a splash of fuel in. They're now going to have the advantage over the top 7 cars. And if we continue having safety cars like this could actually work out as a benefit for them later in this race. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what the game plan is going to be here for guys like Grotch or Gowans or Whiting or Simpson or Chin or Delaney or King, because they're now at that fuel disadvantage compared to those other cars. Those other cars can now go slightly longer on this stint.
Yeah, they definitely have a line now that they probably want another safety car, but when the safety car being called, they got enough gap in between the cars behind them. So the further the gap, the less time they lose under the safety car for the pit stop. So it's got to be very critical here. It's just, what do? You know, I know for sure that if we do get another safety car, anyone that hasn't pit would dive straight into the pitch. But if it's early on in the next lap or two, once the safety car goes in, it's very costly because everyone that has already pitted, they're just going to undercut them and they're going to be the ones in front. And unfortunately for the cricket guys, yeah, they've done an awesome job so far being at the front from qualifying and maintaining it in the early stages of the race. But they've got to play catch up. You know, they've got cars ahead and they've got to make the moves, you know, which makes it even worse because by the time it gets to 2 to 3 laps down, you get the GTD cars also involved as well, and it can cause a lot of havoc as well. So, you know, some people say that safety car breed, you know, chaos, and sometimes that happens in certain classes, and it'll be intriguing to see what these boys do on the track in the next 35 minutes.
Well, I mean, you know, that's exactly right, and I think the fact that, I mean, let's think about this for a second. So McCartan, who was P2, has come in the pits, put a bit of fuel in his car. If he's able to make up positions like that, you know, if he gets past King or Delaney or Chin, he's now at an even bigger advantage over those guys because he not only has the fuel advantage, but he also has the track position over them as well. It's going to make it an even higher climb for them to try and claw something back against him, where realistically now they need to try and build a bit of a gap on him to get that fuel advantage down, so it is not, you know, not hurting them in the long run, as Sam Catazino is saying it certainly does in oval racing. So yeah, you know, I think this is a good example of endurance racing, or not even just endurance racing, but sports car racing in general, of these little, you know, strategies at play and how they can change the whole landscape of a race. And, you know, maybe the guys who pit, their advantage goes away if they get into a stack, or maybe this is a race-winning move for them. We will only get those answers once the 45 minutes are up, Sheafy.
Yeah, definitely correct on that. We see the safety car still holding up all the grid. I believe it is very close for the call for the safety car to go in, if I'm not mistaken there. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see. Strategy is a key thing. As a driver, if you just drive by yourself, you know, it's hard to think of strategies. Because normally you want, say, someone as an observer or a spectator, just you know, just someone else to be there. Go, oh, no, these guys here all pit and go into the pits, you know. So you're like, okay, yep, easy, go to the pit. You can follow, you know, follow the lead, follow the group, so you don't accidentally miss the optimum pit stop. But yeah, it's going to be interesting games here, because I know for sure, especially the top five boys in the GTPs, they got a long way now You got to try and catch up to the GTTs. You got to try and overtake them ASAP, nice and cleanly, and then just following that as well. They got to hope to the best that the cars behind them that already have pitted are hoping that they get stuck behind traffic longer than they do, and they can create that optimum gap.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bonus here, right, of giving those GTD cars the wave around, they're now not going to be filtered within those GTP cars. I think if they'd actually just left them and just gone to green, we would see more carnage than what we will now, because you're going to see GTPs just pushing to get past them, right? Because they don't want to have to lose out to the cars ahead of them who are going to have a cleaner getaway because they've got no one in their way. So I think this was a smart decision by Race Control. Let those GTDs go around, let them come back round to the end of the field, and it's basically just like a hard reset from this point. You know, we're coming up to 15 minutes in. Cars are pretty much where they were at the start of this race in terms of classes, positioning. You know, let's go green and let's go racing once again around this track, because you know we're going to be able to get that clean run now off the start. There's going to be no one in anyone's way other than your competitors within your class. So, you know, it could be an interesting restart for sure, but only time will tell if it will benefit anyone more than the other.
Another thing as well, you know, certain classes do got certain teammates as well, so that does play a bit of a factor as well. If you can work as a team, just to try and move up the grid together. I did see in practice a couple of boys were doing qualifying together, getting a tow of each other to try and be as quick as possible. You could do the same strategy as well in the race. The only difference is you got to be real careful because it's race pace. You know, you've got other cars involved as well that, you know, will want to try and make a move on you, try and split the needle, try to get past you. So it's going to be real critical here for these boys, just to keep a cool head and just make sure they don't make a mistake, because once you do, you'll fall back pretty quick.
Yeah, it's and again, it's all about keeping that track position. You know, we've been under safety car now for around about 5 minutes. If we get, you know, if we don't get any more safety cars throughout this race, we're going to get about half an hour of running, and it's very easy to lose that track position, as we've kind of mentioned, of safety car still continues around the circuit. So I reckon we're probably going to go green the next lap by. You know, it's as you mentioned, getting that track position is so important, but also getting that strategy benefit is so important as well. That strategy bonus over your opponents, because at the end of the day, this is a small circuit. It's about a minute long, you know, a minute and 5 or 4 seconds on average for the GTPs. If you can get any advantage over your competitors, you're going to gain so much more time than what you would lose if you didn't have that advantage. So, you know, it's really going to be very interesting to see. This is a very strategy-heavy track because there are not that many overtaking opportunities. Yes, they're there, but they're ones that you've really got to push to try and take advantage of. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this restart looks like for both classes, and who's going to, as we mentioned, get that advantage here into the final half an hour of this race.
I definitely know for sure, you know, everyone that hasn't pitted so far will probably be a little bit worried at the moment, just trying to run the calculators going, can the boys that pitted during the safety car can make it at home? I think they can almost push it to the limit now, if not can make it, and the cooldown as well. You got to remember, you have to completely cool down, otherwise you will be starting at the rear of the grid the next week. So unfortunately, you do got to think, you know, you got to put the extra one lap of fuel in, but you need to have the room in the tank as well, because it is capped to a certain percentage depending on what car you're in. As you see, the safety car has disappeared, so definitely looks like it's going to be green flag once the safety car goes into the pit lane.
Yeah, mate. So, I mean, we picked it right. This lap was going to be the green lap. It is going to be just under half an hour left of running here in round number 1 of the Warren & Brown IMSA Shadow Series here on SRWtv. Who's going to get the jump here off the restart? Will it be Grotch? Will he get that breakaway once again? I told everyone I would get some hockey references in tonight since we're in Canada. Or will Gowans be able to just run him into the barriers and get on there and just get that puck into the goal? That's what he needs to do here. Look at all the piranhas behind that Velocity Sim Labs car. You know, Whiting, Simpson, Chin, Delaney. I mean, they are all just perched up in behind him, ready to assault him. Final corner now. We're going to get underway. Roch, when will he go off this restart? He goes off the exit. It's a good restart from him. He's now broken that gap in behind to Gowans. McCartan already gets the job done on King, so he's now just trying to pick his way through the field already. Where are our GTDs at the moment? Let's get them up on screen. They come round the first corner, so we were just too short there off the restart, but they're looking nice and clean already as Faulkner makes his way through turn 2. He leads the way to Dyson, Nixon, Jones, Island. That's the 5. Madden, Stevens, Kylie, Benici, Dodds. That's the 10. For the GTPs, it's Grotch, Gowans, Whiting, Simpson, Chin, Delaney, McCartan, King, Edwards, Davis, as there's already a car off. And I believe that might have been Simon Mazzomo who was off the track then. Let's just see where he is. I think it was Mez. He's just trying to stay in this thing at the moment. How has he done this off this restart?
Just looked like go for a move on the outside, didn't work, and just was that a contact there or just lost the back end? He got really close to a teammate behind him, but very, very unfortunate there. And just now he's got to go through the grid of a couple of GTD cars as well, but that's some critical time lost there just from that one small error. So unfortunately he's got a long way of catching up. As you see, do we end here?
So this, he lost it on his own. That was what it was. No contact. He just lost it on his own, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, it's so critical. You know, a couple of laps under safety car. You know, I've made that mistake before. You do forget quickly how cold the tires can actually get under a couple of laps under safety car. So, fortunately, a critical error there. But we see Grotch still in the lead, followed by Gowans and Wrighton as well. You know, McCartan doing a good job. It's up to P6, just trying to make a move on Chin, but unfortunately he has Simpson as well ahead of him, just getting a real good draft, so making the gap not any shorter. So unfortunately he's got a little bit of work to do, but he is in the optimum position because the other boys ahead haven't pitted yet, so he's going to try a massive undercut just for one stop, undercut onto safety car, and hopefully that works for him. But I'm intrigued to see in the next 25 minutes, I would say, to see if it works or not.
Yeah, and I mean that's really going to be the question: will it work? It was that first stop all they needed to get home, or do they need anything more out of that tank to make it home? I mean, if they don't need another stop, then that was an absolute masterclass from them, and they're ready to go all the way home. But I would suspect they might need another pit stop here. Brendan Grotch has now set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 4.29. Was last time by. Gowans in behind in a 104.5, so he's not necessarily losing too much time to the car ahead, but just not able to match that pace at this time.
Yeah, I definitely believe those two boys there, they're just hammering straight pedal to the metal. They're trying to make a massive gap to the cars behind that have already pitted, so they're hoping there's no safety car. They're hoping that they can use the traffic as an option to make a massive gap between themselves and the others. And just once but the gaps and see a few of the lap times go through, they're both quicker than the rest of the boys behind, so using the free air very, very well at the moment.
There has been a change for the lead in the GTD class. Andrew Dyson is now the leader. He has gotten past Ben Faulkner. I'm just trying to catch the replay of it so we can see how he has done it. Off the back of this, I don't know if I can find it actually. Oh no, here it is. Here we go. This is where the pass was made. It was on lap 10 of this race. See here, it was just down the straight. You know, had the GTP car coming up in behind them. I believe it was Mez who wanted to try and get by. Only made it 3 wide. Faulkner backs out of a drive-through penalty for car 80 for leaving a closed pit lane under yellow flag. So that's unfortunate for them. That would be Benjamin Brook at the back of the GTD field, so he will now have to trundle down through the lane. He's already a lap down. This is only going to hurt his chances even more in trying to make a comeback in this race, Sheafy, with, well, we're at the halfway point pretty much, so it's going to be almost impossible for him without a miracle.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, when you make an error like that on your first night, you know, it's not the best way to start your season off, but just And you got to remember, well, we have introduced the drop round back. You can use it between round 1 and 8. So yes, you can have about, oh, that's a nasty crash for Jake Evans there. And the front right is disappeared off the rim, as we just trying to see exactly what happened here.
Oh, it's turn 2 that's claimed him. Yep,
Oh,
big wiggle,
no.
nowhere to go. Grass could not catch him, way too much speed into there, and well, that is the result. And this could be our second safety car of the night, Sheafy, depending on what race control wants to do. He has been allowed to tow back to pits, so I don't think we are getting another safety car just yet.
Yeah, no safety car, as we're just seeing Groot making an overtake, so he's definitely man on the miss and trying to make a massive gap between himself and Stephen McCartan, who just slowly backed off a little bit from Simpson, just not catching up. So maybe McCartan knows exactly what data he needs of the gap between himself and P1 to, you know, undercut the lead. But yeah, very unfortunate to see car number 92 as well have a drive-through penalty for contact under safety car. So that hurts his night as well. I know that he made a bit of an error early on in the night, and yeah, just most likely going to be a drop round for these boys at the back, and hopefully next week they come back a lot more stronger.
Sam asked us if it was cold tyres in that moment there for that incident that we saw with, I believe it was, I think it was Ash Davies. I think it might have been, yeah. It says that he's been in twice, so that very well could have been cold tyres for him. But I think what it was, he was just carrying too much speed into that corner. You know, he's turned in, realised there's too much speed. The car isn't turning, and then it's just had that massive speed wiggle through the corner. As we can see, Roch has already found the leaders of the GTD class, and he'll actually be allowed to pass them this time as he's not on the safety car. But yeah, I think just, you know, big speed wiggle, too much pace into the corner, and that's what's led to it. I mean, you saw how much he went across the grass. Sheafy just could not get it pulled up.
Yeah, I definitely know for sure. If you go in the pits, you got to make sure your tyres are 45 minutes. You can use one tyre at 20. You don't need a second set unless you've done 100 donuts beforehand. Normally they can last longer to see car number 92 as well, drive through as well. So a few boys making just a little bit of errors in their first night, but hopefully they iron it out for the rest of the season. But as we see, Dyson in the lead.
He was asking about Mez. That could have been cold tyres for Mez. He did make the pit stop on that 5, so I don't know though if Mez would have actually changed tyres, because it was only 5 laps in, and these tyres can last 45 minutes. The GTP's run should be 45 minutes on one set of tyres, maybe 40 minutes depending on how much you're pushing. So I don't know if that was necessarily cold tyres. I think maybe it was actually, you know, tyres just not cold, maybe just drop a little bit of temp off of that, and then yeah, just a bit of a loss of grip, and yeah, just getting it up to speed once again. You know, I think that was kind of the loss for him there, as Grotch has already extended his lead out to 4.9 seconds over Gowans. So the GTD traffic already coming into play for Grotch here, and has already given him a massive advantage over P2.
Yeah, and obviously we see the gap between Gowans and Simpson as well, almost approaching the 5-second mark as well. So at 10 seconds, and then another almost one a little bit to Stephen McCartan. So 11-12 second gap. I don't think that's enough at the moment for him to fill pit and fuel and maintain the lead off Stephen McCartan. So still got a long way to go. To see, he just set a purple lap there with a 104.09. So incredible there. Doug Gowan did his personal best as well. As you see, Simpson fortunately was on 107, a couple of seconds slower. So must either have made a massive mistake or just got held up by a slower car there. But it just proves consistency and clean laps can make or break a race, and obviously the boys at the front showing how crucial it is tonight, just to not make a mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I know we've spoken about it time and time again, as Grotch has actually just set another fastest lap, 104.09. I know we've spoken, and we drill it down your throats every single time we race these cars, and we've already spoken about it tonight, but the consistency is key, as we mentioned, especially under these sprint formats, because at least with a 12-hour or a 24-hour, if you make a mistake early, there is time to come back. this kind of racing, oh, no. There's not time to come back. If you have an incident within the first 10, 15 or 20 minutes, it's pretty much your race over, because you're not really going to have an opportunity to make your way back through the field, as I mentioned, unless, you know, luck is on your side and there's a bit more incidents up further through the field. So it's, you know, consistency's key. Tattoo it under your eyelids, folks, for the whole season. These guys need to be consistent and they need to have proper awareness about them, because that is how you are going to take advantage of your opponents in this field and in this series as well.
As you can see, Butch has caught up to a juice leap car on the GTD class, so traffic is going to start playing a part right here, right now. Stephen McCartan will try and make a move on Simpson ASAP before he gets to a slower car, but see, poor Brooke is just at the back at the moment, but Simpson's got a massive job to try and keep McCartan behind him. He's got to, no, obviously they're racing for position at the moment, but McCartan does have an undercut playing into his game compared to Simpson, but doing an awesome job keeping him behind. I know for sure the two boys up ahead of Gowers and Groot want Simpson to slow him down as much as possible, try and make sure the pit stop work.
So McCartan's actual pit stop time was an 8.4 seconds off that little splash in lap 5. If these boys need to pit again, I know, once again for the siege ring, we will get all these little niggly problems fixed prior to next week, I do promise you. But, you know, that realistically now, we don't know how much fuel these cars are actually going to need off a pit stop, if they even need one. I would sense they would need one. So, you know, maybe McCartan actually has the advantage right now, because he had a 30-second pit lane travel, 8-second pit stop. If Grotch has to do that sort of a pit stop under green, he's going to lose out massively to McCartan, because McCartan's going to gain like 20 seconds on him, being that the gap's only about 12 seconds at the moment between McCartan and P1.
Yeah, especially that we're almost reaching the 2/3 mark of half an hour, so 15 minutes left in the race, and it's going to be really crucial, because just looking at the lap times, they're just starting to slow down a little bit, Gooch and Gowan, so they're struggling a bit in traffic, and I see Simpson and McCartan gained a whole second between the both of them, so it just proves how crucial it is, just is the timing, and a lot of luck plays in the game as well. Just when you're approaching a slower car ahead of you, you're hoping it's the correct corner that you're catching up to. You know, you don't want to be stuck behind them for like a chicane or something like that you can't overtake them. Otherwise, you make a mistake and you take yourself out and others behind you. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see Simpson just working on the slower cars, just trying to make a gap between himself and McCartan. But yeah, McCartan doing an awesome job to keep him behind Simpson, and I know for sure Simpson definitely catching on to Gowan's here, so a lot to play at the moment.
Look at how these GTDs are doing at the moment. Mark Cochran trying to chase down Greg Leake as Stefan McCartan makes his way around the outside of those GTD cars, and this is the kind of, you know, traffic, not issues we'll say, but these are the sorts of things that they have to try and deal with as Ty Delaney nearly collects one of those GTD cars there through the final corner. And yeah, this is the challenge that they have to deal with, of getting around this lower class of cars, and these lower class cars have to deal with being passed at maybe not inopportune moments. And Sam, I appreciate that. I know what the issue is, and it is because I'm having to stream into Discord. We need to try and hopefully get SDK for all of our co-commentators, so then we don't have to rely on putting the stream into Discord for them. Nothing against you, Sheafy, of course, but just something that will make it easier for everyone in the long run. But yeah, Cochran, you know, he's just trying to make his way back up through the field now. He is up 1 spot in his class and up 4 from where he started, so he's done well off this start to keep it nice and clean. Only Fez out on the track, as I mentioned. Leakey, one of a few Mercs out there right now, and then it's just a whole bunch of Porkers. Only one Lambo, he's a bit further up the road, that being Sean Benici of Frog Leap Juice Racing here. And then we get into the first Porker, and Kyle Stevens just ahead of him here. In quite an interesting, and I like it. It's a nice little livery here as the GTDs are having to pit. So I would say, Sheafy, we are almost guaranteed GTP pit stops. If those GTDs are coming in at 31 minutes into this session, remembering that those guys can last an hour in a regular race on a regular tank of fuel, that I'd say we got limited fuel options, and these prototypes are actually going to have to make the stop. So this could be massive advantage here for McCartan over Simpson, Gowans, and Grotch going forward.
Talk about Grotch. I just see he got a 16-second advantage between himself and Doug Gowan. So looks like everyone behind has struggled to go through traffic, and he just zoomed past them all. Like, that's incredible. He's almost put himself in the perfect gap between himself and McCartan to make a pit stop, get the fuel that he needs, to get out in front of them and maintain the lead of the race. But it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how much fuel he needs. Is he going to use less? As you see, he just dive straight into the pit stop? Perfect timing. I'm very intrigued to see exactly how long it's going to take him into the pits as he jumps in now.
So we'll head over and be with McCartan right now. We've got the live timer up of Grotch on the pit stop counter at the bottom. He had to come in that lap because McCartan was no longer going to have the traffic for the next lap, and it might have actually allowed him then to make up the gap. So that was pretty much the only option for Grotch there to come in. He has completed the stop, and he has remained in the lead of this race as we are under safety car. Let's quickly look through the replay so you see why this may have happened. Let me quickly find it for us.
That makes sense why he dove straight into the pit. I saw 4 seconds in the pit going. He's underfield compared to his competitor McCartan. McCartan did take an 8-second pit stop, so let's see the replay here and see exactly what happened here. And so just following one of the GTD cars, he's on the...
I'm trying to see who's loading or who's actually having this now. Because why would he need it? So Josh King's also gone off track. What's he done here in the GTP? They're teasing us, Sheafy. They are teasing us with what could be the reason for our safety car right now. As Greg Barber dealing with traffic as well in behind. And that might be why. I think that might... I was about to say, is he stuck in the tyres? But no, he wasn't. Again, they're just teasing us right now. They are just teasing us.
Unfortunately,
Davis
we haven't spotted it yet.
Yeah, we haven't. So Davis makes the mistake up here at the top of the hill. No, that's not it either. I would say that question may not be answered for us, Sheafy, but regardless, we are under safety car here for the second time tonight. 10 minutes to go in this race. It's anyone's game now at this stage, remembering that Simpson has not pitted. Right, so McCartan is provisional P2. Oh, okay, I got you. Thank you, Tyson. Apparently there was a car dead in the pit lane. Appreciate that, Tyson. So Simpson has not pitted, so McCartan is now provisional P2. Whiting has not pitted, so Maguire in the only BMW GTP car is provisional P3 right now. Delaney has not pitted. That moves Mez up into P4, and Gowan's currently P5. So this right here has opened it up completely. Could Simpson, Whiting, and Delaney save enough fuel to get to the end? I doubt it, to be honest. If these boys are having to come in and do a stop. May not be out of the realm of possibility, but I think Grotch wanted to go for the safe haven. He knew he had enough time. He wanted to get that pit stop done and just guarantee that he had enough fuel to get home.
Yeah, I've definitely seen he got roughly 4.5 seconds worth of fuel, so I don't know exactly how much in liters because it determines on what class and how much fuel they can handle. But yeah, unfortunately, Doggy Gowan, due to that safety car, he lost a lot of positions there and down to P8. I know a couple of cars ahead that hasn't pitted yet, but unfortunately, his strategy didn't work. But I definitely know for sure McCartan's strategy is helped him a lot, put him into P3. Simpson hasn't pitted yet, and Grotch has, so depending on exactly what's going to happen here, try and make a move ASAP to see all the GTD going past the safety cars, just so the order is nice and fresh. But yeah, it also brings a couple other drivers back into the pack as well and give them a second chance as well in life, which is obviously a good thing for them. And obviously a bad thing for the cars ahead that kept it nice and clean and unfortunately got a battle.
So Faulkner has now actually taken back the lead of this race. Dyson has pitted though. So Faulkner, will he need a pit stop to get home too? These are the kind of questions that now need to ask, because if he needs a pit stop, he's off the podium. Although in saying that, He is only 1.9 seconds ahead of Dyson, and then it's 59 seconds back to Chris Ireland in P3. So he might be safe on that podium front, but yeah, I think keeping that cleanliness and that consistency has really helped him here. Same with Dyson, but Dyson has pitted, so that could be the big game changer in this race, and he's only just behind him right now. So it could be game on, Sheafy, for the rest of this race, not only for the lead of GTD, but for P2 of GTP as well.
Yeah, especially when you have a massive gap like that, 50 seconds, that's plenty of time for you to go into the pits, you know, get your splash in and then go back out and not lose a position. Or if you lose a position only to one, now you run in the risk that if you do run out of fuel, all the cars behind you got to overtake you and you just lost that podium position. So going to be very interesting to see if their strategy works. Like I said, there's no clutch in these cars no more. There's no fuel maps either. So for me, these drivers are going to be really, really smooth on their throttle application to be able to be very fuel efficient. And so, you know, I don't know how they're going to do 45 minutes in one tank, but if they do it, fair on them. That's a great job for them.
Well, I think what I've just noticed as well is, so that gap was only so large because the safety car had actually backed up those other GTD cars. They've been given their wave around, and all of a sudden Faulkner is under pressure from every single car in that field behind him, because it's no longer only Dyson who's about a second back. He now has Ireland, who is also in passing opportunity range, as well as Jones and Nixon. Then Dodds, Kiley, Benici, Cochrane not too far behind them as well. So the real play here is, can Faulkner make it to the end, or does he need to pit? If he needs to pit, this could be race over for him. If he can make it to the end, it could be one of the most wildest strategy plays we've seen in this series. Not only in this series, but in all of the league this season. So this could really spice things up a little bit here and just give us a complete change of pace. Well, not to change of pace, but a complete landscape shift for both classes. See, Groch will lead them off when the safety car does come into the lane. I would say we're going to be going green this lap. This is going to be about 5 minutes of racing left. Once we get up to the line, we're at 39.5 minutes into this race. So not long to go for these drivers here tonight. So it's Groch, Simpson, McCartan, Whiting, Maguire, Delaney, Mazzomo, Gowans, Frame, Davis. That's the 10 of the GTPs. Faulkner, Dyson, Ireland, Jones, Nixon. That's the 5 of GTD. Dodds, Kiley, Benici, Cochrane, Barber. That's the rest of the 10. So it's going to be a 5-minute run to the end. Who's going to get the advantage? Safety car has pulled away. Sheafy. Groch leads them away once we get to the line. Faulkner will lead the GTDs. Who's going to get the advantage here off this restart?
Yeah, I believe good to have a massive advantage. It's very good from the get-go. We're seeing his first initial start and restart that he's been very efficient, so it'll be intriguing to see exactly what he's going to do.
So we'll see here who will get the advantage, as we mentioned. Safety car is in the lane. So we can now get back and under racing. Should not be any more safety cars here tonight. We're under the 5-minute mark to go. There will not be too long left in this one. Can Simpson get home on fuel? Can Faulkner get home on fuel? That is the narrative at play right now. As we come through the final corner. Groch leads them away to start the next lap and to restart this race. 4 minutes, 50 seconds to go of racing here at Canadian Motorsport Park. It was a clean restart there from the GTPs. They look pretty good as they come into turn 2. And we're going to go here as we come on around looking pretty clean. The GTDs have made their restart too around the first corner. It's Faulkner v Dyson here off the restart. Vermilion versus DPR. No, the GTPs do not get wave rounds. Only the GTDs do, because they are a lower class of car. See here, Maguire and Simpson. These guys battling it out. Look at this, the 4 Piranhas all together as they come down the end, ready straight. They're just trying to get as many positions as they can. As Simpson, I believe, actually made a mistake. He's dropped a heap of spots. Let's get the replay up on screen. What's happened here?
Currently P2 and
Just a big slide. Couldn't pull it up on the back of Grotch.
It looks like Grotch slowed down a lot there.
Yeah, that takes the question out though, Sheafy, of does Simpson need a pit? Because McCartan is now P2 and he now just has to try and chase down Brendan Grotch for P1 of this race.
It's just incredible how quick one fatal mistake can be. Just lose all these positions, and obviously opened up the door for McCartan to try and make an impact on the first position, as we see here on a replay. Not exactly all. That rear suspension just let go there.
Possibly.
Like he's already had a bit of
caught
damage.
The bump mid-corner, and that's just... he was missing his wing, that's why. He's missing his rear wing. So the rear end's just gone for him there. It hasn't given him anything in terms of turning because he's not got the rear wing on the car. Faulkner and Davis, 1v1 as we come through up towards the double right. They've already built the gap out, 1.8 seconds back to Ireland in P3. This is the battle for the lead of the GTD class. Grotch goes fastest on that last lap, 104.075. McCartan could only do a 104.684. Whiting went 104.360. So the lap times are coming down, Sheafy. But McCartan needs to start trying to outpace Grotch if he wants to get into that P1 position. Gap's already out to a second here as we're just under 44 minutes into this 45-minute race.
Yeah, he's got to be very careful because if he starts battling with Wyden, Grotch will just go, see you later, boys, and that will be the end of the race. As you see, just GTD battle between Faulkner and Dyson is on. It's just, if not, I swear he'd be kissing his bumper going, come on, give me the position, make a mistake. He's putting a lot of pressure under him. See, just a small little wriggle there, just giving Dyson a good chance of putting him under pressure and cracking the egg.
Troy Maguire has had an incident. Let's quickly check out what's happened to him here. So he initially gone off, came back on. Just didn't hold brakes. He's caught Gowan's out. Nowhere to go. Hook, line, and centre. And there's nothing he can do about that one, unfortunately for him. But let's get up back to the lead of the GTP class. 44 minutes, 40 seconds. And a 45-minute session here tonight. This should be the final lap of the race as we come on round down towards the double right at turn 5. That gap's come down a little bit between McCartan and Grotch here. It's now under a second, but I don't know if it's going to be enough time left in the race for McCartan to take advantage, Sheafy.
Oh, I don't think it is. It's obviously, depending with Grotch, you know, we did see him go into the pit. Did he put enough fuel into the car? You know, that's a good question. He did have 4 seconds compared to the 8. So, Carton here, he can put 110% on his... No, the pressure on the car, just to see. Oh! Slow down a lot.
That was the traffic then. That was the traffic that caught them out. It is checkered flag as we come around the final corner. Grotch will only... Oh! They've had contact with the GTD! A seizure is sent to this race. McCartan has claimed first place over the line. Grotch gets taken out by, I believe it was Greg Leake on the finish line there. McCartan pips him by 900ths of a second, Sheafy. Absolutely nothing in it as the GTDs will now come around for their finish. That was absolutely wild off the finish line.
That was absolutely mental. Coming before the last corner, you just see McCartan and Grotch just getting stuck in traffic. But you see now, Faulkner and Dyson, they are the closest to the battle for the lead now in the GTDs. They don't have to worry about slower cars ahead of them, because they are the slower cars themselves. So all clean air for these two boys to battle. So Dyson just trying to put him under pressure here, but Faulkner says, nope, I'll keep it nice and clean. And he's going to come across the finish line as the GTD winner for Season 1, Race 1. Oh, what a finish.
Look at Grotch parked up. And could that be any more apropos to have the man who led the whole way get taken out in the final seconds of the final hour at the final moment and lose the lead by 0.09 of a second thanks to the lower class car making a mistake. There was nothing malicious about it. Leakey just made a mistake there and it's cost Grotchy the race. McCartan, our winner here tonight. We questioned if he'd have the strategy advantage. Well, at the end of the day, it actually happened that the track advantage gave him that win because he wasn't in an area, he wasn't in the position to get taken out by another car. But oh, that was very hairy. I wish it wasn't as seizurous as it was. And you can see that car's crabbing, so he did actually get hit, but he managed to get over the line in first.
Yeah, I just want to know exactly what happened here. I know these two boys are battling, just it's such a difficult thing because you see the checker flag, last corner, and you want to get across the finish line before the opponent next to you, and just see, unfortunately, Greg is just struggling a bit.
He's caught the grass. He's caught the grass there. I know it's a bit hard to see, and I'm sorry that the qualities is not as high as what we would like here tonight, but yeah, just what a wild end to that race it was, Sheafy. I mean, wow, I'm absolutely speechless off that one. I gotta say.
Honestly, I think that's the first time ever I've been in a broadcast or in a race like that, just where it's just chaos across the finish line like that. It's a bit like watching the highlights from the NASCAR. That's what you normally see in the NASCAR event, but to see that in IMSA, that's yeah, definitely a different taste.
We'll bring up our provisional racing results here tonight for the GTP class. Stefan McCartan gets to the lead of this race right on the finish line, takes victory for CXR as Brendan Grotch dies in the embers of it. An unfortunate end for him, but he will at least consolidate P2 for Frog Leap Juice Racing. So then 3 fishy cars in a row. Michael Whiting makes up the podium, and then it's Adam Simpson and Ty Delaney in P4 and 5. Simon Mazzomo makes a little bit of a comeback there to get back up into P6 after early dramas for 9-5 Sim Sports, with Dougie Gowans coming in on the lead lap in P7 for Velocity Sim Lab. Patrick Frame will then come home out of P8 for Respect the Meatball Racing, with Jake Edwards for CXR coming home in P9, and Troy Maguire comes home out of P10. Jamie Davis will then come home in P11 here tonight, just ahead of Josh King in P12, with Jason Chin coming home in P13 here tonight. Ash Davis will then finish in P14, with Jamie Christensen not finishing the race here tonight, unfortunately for him. I believe that are all the GTPs. Sheafy, how did the GTDs look out there here tonight?
Yeah, so the winner for the GTDs tonight was Ben Faulkner from Million Motorsport, so he just squeaked out Andrew Dyson in P2 for the win, so congratulations for those two boys there. Followed by that, it is Chris Island in P3. Ryan Jones in P4, followed by Connor Nixon in P5, with Harry Dodds P6 and first of the Frog Leap Juice Racing. With that, he had his teammate John O'Kiley and Sean Benucci. P9 was Greg Barber, and ran out the top 10 with Mark Cochran for Apex Esports League. P11 was Kyle Stevens, and he had his teammate Jason Madden followed behind him in P12. Joe Ardy in P13 with Greg Leake, unfortunately caught an incident on the last lap in P14. Followed by that is Benjamin Brook in P15. So yeah, thankfully 15 finishes there, and yeah, a lot to talk about from that last lap. And I'm intrigued to see exactly what the first and second of the GTD Ps want to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very interesting conversation with both those boys. I think we've got to have both of them in here together. We will bring in, though, our GTD winner first, which is Ben Faulkner. We'll quickly get him up on screen so we know who we're talking to here tonight. Get that out of the way, get this going as well, and then we'll get into the roll bar cam. So our P1 for the GTD class here tonight. Ben Faulkner, in he comes. Ben, well, what a race it was for you. Super, super close alongside Ash pretty much the whole way. And then well, you made that move towards the end, and you managed to hold him off for the, well, pretty much up to the line, but maybe another lap or two he might have gotten you.
Oh, I mean, I sat behind him for most of the race to fuel save because I needed to try and make a one stop, and then I realised I wasn't going to until the safety car. So then I put my foot down, slowly started to catch back up, and then the safety car happened, and that kind of saved it. And then yeah, I was able to make it to the end without a stop.
So how did you go out there tonight dealing with those prototypes coming around you? I mean, obviously this is such a tight, short track. They were catching you guys fairly quickly. I mean, luckily for you, you didn't have to get past in that first opportunity because of the safety car. But how are you dealing with that traffic of those guys having to get around you and also coming up on slower drivers in your own class as well?
It actually wasn't too bad. Most of them pretty good in the race. There was only a couple of times when I got held up a fair bit at the start with a couple of people when the GDPs were fighting. But yeah, other than that, it actually was a lot better than I thought it would be, especially at this track. Yeah.
Chiefy, have you got any questions for your fellow Porsche competitor?
No, definitely got some good pace out there tonight. What's your thoughts? Obviously, you see a Porsche-dominated league at the moment. What's your thoughts on the Porsche currently interstage?
I personally like its rotation. It's pretty easy to drive. Our high-mo sets that we have, they're pretty, like they're on rails all the time, so it makes it pretty easy to drive. It's pretty easy to fuel save in them. Yeah, overall, it's a pretty good car. Just worried about Le Mans because that's usually a BMW-dominated track, so I reckon there'll be a few car changes then. But other than that, it should be pretty good over the season.
Well, we spoke about during the broadcast tonight about how strategic it is actually to pick your one car choice this season. If you were going to change, do you think it's actually worth changing that early in the season at Le Mans to the BMW, seeing as you're then going to have to deal with that car for the next 6 rounds after that?
Yeah, no, I probably won't. I can probably manage enough to keep up towards the front somewhere. And if not, I think there's one drop round, isn't there?
Yep.
There is one drop round.
Yeah, so if worse comes to worse, I can use that as a drop round. But the rest of the season should be fine for the Porsche, so if I have to sacrifice one race, I can do that.
Well, mate, congratulations on your victory here tonight. Let us know who's given you the support out there and your team as well. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well?
Thank you. So Berlin Motor Group did an amazing job. Dr. Epoxy, Race Lab Overlays, Supernova Motorsports, Verb Designs, Moser Racing, and Himo Setups.
Very good, mate. Thanks for coming to have a chat to us. Best of luck next time out, and best of luck for the rest of the season as well.
Awesome. Thank you, you two boys, as well.
Well, Sheafy, should we bring P1 and 2 of the GTP class in together? We would be interrupting Stefan's conversation. Oh, he's gone back in the green room, so we're not interrupting it now. We're definitely bringing them both in. So we'll bring in Stefan McCartan and Brandon Groch, because that ending, boys, chef's kiss. I know that was a bit of heartbreak for you, Brandon, but from our point of view, chef's kiss. Like, that was some absolutely wild racing towards the end there. Stefan, you managed to only just get home. Maybe a little bit of luck involved in that one. But Brandon, we'll start with you, mate. You led the most of the way in this race. You had the pace advantage over the majority of the field. You didn't come in under that first safety car. You came in under the second one, and then you lead the race all the way to the end, and suddenly there's a GTD car in the way, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it was a good race. Annoying how it finished, but it's racing. I didn't come in on the first safety car because I couldn't trust that there wouldn't be another one, and I wasn't going to make it home. So just sort of how the race went. Just had to try and tick the laps over. I knew I had to pace. But I love this track. I love the combo. So that's all I had to do.
So sorry, Shiffy. You can go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you just talked about strategy just then. I think it paid off perfectly, because once the second safety car came out, you obviously went straight into the pit, filled up for 4 seconds, and off you out again, and you stayed in front of all the boys. So what you did out there between the first and second safety car was absolutely perfect, and very critical for your race tonight.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually have to even make that stop. I only did it because it's a mandatory stop. So I could have easily just continued on and finished the race.
Well, I guess what would you say was kind of the biggest challenge then of kind of getting through this race? Obviously, we've spoken about at length the challenge of coming through the field, and not only that, dealing with the lap traffic as well. It's such a tight, short circuit. Was it as challenging as it looked out there to get around that traffic, or was it kind of just keep your patience and eventually you'll get to the spot where you can get past them?
For me personally, it's not that difficult to get around here. I've driven a lot of laps around here, particularly when it was the official week in week 1. But the hardest part's definitely getting past the GT3 because you can't do it wherever you want to. You have to wait and you have to be patient. So planning where I was going to overtake them and how I was going to do it and communicating with my teammates as well. That was probably the most difficult part of it.
Well, mate, you had an absolutely ripper race. We feel for you for how it ended. Let us know who's giving you the support out there, mate. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? You know, maybe in people's hearts you were P1 here tonight, but I think regardless of the result, you're probably going to be a contender for the majority of this season anyway.
Yeah, I hope I will be. There are definitely some tracks that don't suit me as well. Next week being one of them. I don't like Hockenheim, so I'm going to have to put a few more laps in to try and feel a bit more comfortable there. But I'd like to thank all the other boys at Frog Leap, just giving me the support and the courage to do these races and try my best. And I'd like to thank all our sponsors, Juiced Energy being the main one, and then simrigs.com. I love their content. I've just bought their SimMagic Neo GT. I'm very excited for that. Racecraft, Sudspeed Gloves, and the Pet Door Company. Thank you to all those guys, and thank you to all my teammates.
Brandon, I asked you your newest teammate Mark Poynton this the majority of the weeks that I speak to him in the vets booth because he's just someone who's constantly on the podium. Do you have the list of sponsors in front of you right now?
I don't actually know.
Oh, well, that's a one-up for you over Mark. I'll be sure to mention that to him tomorrow if he finishes on the podium in vets. But, mate, ripper effort here tonight. Commiserations. As I said, I mean, at least you didn't lose out too many positions. You only lost one, and you still managed to get on that podium. And you know, you're still in the fight for this championship. So, great job, mate. Best of luck for next week out at Hockenheim, and best of luck for the rest of the season as well.
Thanks, fellas.
Well, Stefan, my fellow admin of this series, you come in, race one, and you take out the chocolates. Like, maybe not the way you would have wanted to, but I'm sure you take a win regardless, right?
Yeah, you got to take them when you can get them, especially in the class of field that we've got here. Do feel a bit sorry for the way it ended for Brandon. I got a 0x on my screen for any contact, but then you look back at the replay and it's a pretty obvious big netcode hit, and then what happened. Yeah.
Well, mate, we saw you come in early. You were one of the first people to come into the pit stops for that safety car. Then gave you the fuel advantage throughout the rest of the race and the, we'll say, strategy advantage. Then, do you reckon if that safety car had come out at the end, do you think Brandon would have jumped in at that spot, or do you reckon he might have gone a little bit longer? Because I was saying that I reckon it needs to kind of. He needed to come in then because he'd actually managed to build out the gap ahead of you due to there being the yellow flags.
Yeah, I can't speak on the Acura's fuel mileage, but the Porsche with both safety cars could have actually quite easily done it with a no stop. I put it under the first one, took on I think it was about 8 litres I burnt at that stage. And if there was no further safety cars after that first one, I still would have had about 4-ish litres to spare. But going off the that sort of mileage, the Acura would have had to make a pit stop under green. So I definitely would have probably got past them anyway with how slow the pit limiter is at Mosport. So I went for that sort of strategy. I was kind of banking that there wasn't going to be the second safety car, but obviously multi-class at a small track like this, it's always potentially going to happen.
We've also just been told by race control, Stefan, unfortunately you're copping a post-race points penalty. Do you have any idea why that might be occurring?
It'll be probably because they believe I'm at fault for the contact with Greg Leak, I would guess.
Okay, fair enough. Then maybe conversations to be had between you and Tyson. Maybe we can get the dirt on that a little bit later. But, I mean, regardless of how you got the win, mate, you got the win. You may not be leading the championship due to that points penalty, but it was a ripper effort here tonight. Not only to come in to this season in your first race this season, but to get up on the podium. Regardless, it was a killer effort. And let us know who's giving you support out there for CXR. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well. And best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, cheers guys. To our sponsors at CXR, Shunt Scenery, DSM Painting Contractors, Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Dubby Energy, and Ren Swartz Designs, who's making our liveries this season. Couldn't do it without you guys, and obviously thanks to SRW and their sponsors for being able to put on the series.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck out at Hockenheim. Thanks for coming over chat to us, and we'll see how you go throughout the rest of this season.
Cheers, guys.
Well, Sheafy, we've also got Andrew Dyson and Chris Ireland in there off the podium of the GTDs. We'll drag those boys in. We'll have a bit of a chat to them. What do you reckon?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely got to support all the boys that finished on the podium.
So Andrew and Chris, you get onto the podium. Andrew, you led the race for a small period of time, but then unfortunately lost out at Ben there towards the end. Chris, we'll start with you though, mate. Not quite up to pace with the top two boys here tonight, but still enough pace to keep that car on the podium.
Oh, thanks, Matt. I think that's a bit harsh, but
oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was only, you know what? I had the image of my head of at the start of that last safety car, you were 59 seconds back, and then I just remembered as I said it. Oh no, it's because he got held up by the safety car and then got the wave around. But
yeah,
you know, I think you still did fairly well. What wasn't able to be right on the back of your DPR teammate in Andrew at the end there, but to even get on the podium and to survive this race, that's a hell of an effort regardless, and also having to deal with GTPs around such a small track.
Yeah, I mean, look, I did unfortunately pick up some damage when someone in front of me had a bit of a half spin, and I decided to help him get out of it. So, yeah, look, it was a bit of a race of trying to dodge G2Ps, to be honest. It's just the nature of the track. It's a narrow track at some points. It's quite hard to pass. So, yeah, look, I'm happy I survived. I'll take a P3. There are a couple races I'm going to miss during the season, unfortunately. So, really in a contention for anything, but we'll come back in a couple of weeks and have another dip.
Can I just quickly say as well, on a personal note to both you and Andrew, as a person who owns a team with Simrigs as their major sponsor, I cannot tell you how many times my drivers have been mistaken as DPR drivers throughout their careers over the last 6 months. Like, at least I know when I watch you guys, like, they don't drive for me, so they must be DPR. But I mean, I think you guys waved the flag for DPR here tonight very, very well. To get two cars on the podium is an absolute effort, especially around this track, especially in these conditions as well. The question is, which one of you boys want to give the shout out to the sponsors? Because you're both from the same team, so you both get the choice pretty much.
I'll leave this one up to Daiso. He's a bit more used to it than me.
All right, mate. Well, let us know anyone else that's giving you the support out there. Chris, anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well, mate? And yeah, best of luck for Hockenheim next week and the rest of the season.
Yeah, just big shout out to Centrelink, sponsors my racing. So thanks to those boys. Thanks to the missus. She lets me come on these nights. So yeah, that's all from me. Very good, mate.
Well, Andrew, P2, you had P1 for a period there, but yeah, Faulkner, he kept fighting, kept chipping away, and just managed to pip you in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it would look pretty obvious he wanted to let me go to let me save, or to try and save the fuel behind me, but I was saving fuel pretty well in front of him as well. But as we come to the end of the race here, it's kind of a bit of a weird one. You never really know how long the race is going to go. I believe it goes off the leader by average lap time, and when you have a few slow laps and then back to race pace, you never really know how long the race is going to go. So you don't know how far the GTP is going to get down the road, how many laps they're going to get, and then in turn how many laps the GT3 is going to get. So you don't know how close you are on fuel or how tight it actually is. I figured it was close enough for me to be able to go and take a bit of fuel and come out and be comfortably second and then have a dip anyway, but didn't quite work out. And in the end, I took 7 litres and finished with 8.5, so I could have finished the race with 1.5 if I didn't pit. But yeah, I took a gamble. Didn't quite work out, but you do that sometimes and see how it plays out.
It's just the nature of the beast, mate, isn't it? Especially in racing conditions like this, you're so close together for the majority of the race, and sometimes you just got to take that risk, see if it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. It feels like an absolute high when it does, but at least here, it hasn't really jeopardized your race too much. You've still managed to bring it home P2, and you managed to get some bragging rights over your teammate in the end as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's always a little bonus. But I mean, we're all out here to race each other the same as we race everybody else, really. And at the same time, they're helping me out. I wouldn't have pitted it or even known that I could pit in that last one if other boys didn't say, hey, there's a big gap, man. You can actually pit if you want here. So I thought about it and did it. But yeah, we work together, but we still race each other, that's for sure. So it's good fun.
Well, mate, let us know who's given. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's awesome to see, you boys working as a team, working the strategies. I know a couple of drivers out there, individuals, and they don't get the opportunity. But and talked about that as well. When you got GTPs out there, it's so difficult because, yeah, like we said, you don't know what they're going to do, and you don't know what your guys going to do either in traffic. But what was your thought, when the boys were going through the traffic?
Gee, I guess it depends if you're in the lead or you're not in the lead. Basically, anyway, if you're in the lead, it's a little different. If you're not in the lead or anywhere but the lead, you kind of play the traffic a little differently. You can sort of play little games and stuff with the GDPs coming through. It can be risky, but I mean, overall it was all pretty good. Some of the dudes, one of the GTPs got sort of balked behind me, and he kind of, he played it safe. That was cool to see. I didn't actually see him coming, but worked out pretty safe. I mean, overall it was really good. No complaints from my perspective as far as like the traffic goes. So it was great.
Well, mate, let us know who's. Oh, sorry, Sheevy.
Well, no, like I say, you can have him.
Oh no, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming to join us, boys. Andrew, let us know who's giving DPR the support out there, mate. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? I mean, a double podium for your team would be. Well, I think it's an absolutely stellar way to start the season. So, yeah, let us know who's getting you boys here.
Well, shout out to Chris. He sorted out a bit of a setup tonight, and I had something to begin with, and it was pretty woeful. So thanks, Chris, for coming to the party and helping out with that. Thanks to all the boys for jumping in and having a race. A few other boys pretty interested in joining as well. So because we did sign up pretty late, not everyone was able to make it. But yeah, hopefully some of the more of the boys can jump in next week. But yeah, thanks to Simrigs. Great to see a lot of cars out there with Simrigs on them as well. That's pretty cool to see. Everyone's supporting the Simrigs.com business. So get around those fellas. And yeah, just thanks to you boys for putting on the broadcast, and everyone at SRW as well for putting on this league.
Well, boys, thanks for having a chat to us. Great performance, as I said. And yeah, best of luck next week out at Hockenheim and for the rest of the season as well.
Cheers, guys.
Oh, also, just quickly as well, are you saying there's going to be more DPR porkers out there, or will we actually get some different manufacturers in those colours?
It's looking like maybe some GTP. So the other boys would be interested in that stuff. And Chris was really on the edge tonight, actually, about racing GTP or GT3. But
okay, very good. Well, yeah, best of luck, boys, and thanks for coming.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Well, Sheefy, what a round one it was. It ends in controversy at the end, and well, we get to look forward to next time out for our second round out at Hockenheim. I mean, we already saw a bit of a preview with the F3s this week out at Hockenheim. How do you reckon this multi-class madness is going to go around there?
Well, like I said, I'm so happy I'm not driving there. I've never had any luck at Hockenheim. All you had to do is look at what happened last Wednesday, and last time GT3s were out there, had issues as well. But yeah, Hockenheim's it's a technical track. Obviously the driver's got to make sure to keep it nice and clean. There's a hairpin that's going to be really, really critical. I know for sure it could be chaos there if someone misjudged the speed of incoming cars. So yeah, it might be a little bit of chaos, but it should be some good, clean racing as well.
Well, we can only hope, especially with that the hairpin at the end of the straight, because that can always end in chaos and lead to some interesting moments on track. But as I mentioned, guys, we got 8 more rounds this season to come. We got Hockenheim next time out for round number 2, then Lemoore for round 3, Long Beach out at round 4, Watkins Glen round 5, and the Daytona round 6, our first night race, or our one and only night race of the season. We then head over to the Nordschleife for round 7, Sebring for round 8, and then Spa rounds out the season, as I said. Next time we'll be on your screens will be Sunday afternoon with the replay broadcast of the Shannon's GR86 Nationals. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's going to be Sheefy that's with me. We've got to figure out the minor details on that one, and then we'll be back after that on Sunday evening for the Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Pro-Am Series, which coming up this week will be at Phillip Island, so it matches what we had for the Tuesday night series, and the 8.6s will be out at Imola, which should be a very interesting affair for sure. But for myself, Hamish Munro, and Tyler Sheaf alongside we thank you for joining us here tonight on SRWtv for the Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series Round 1 out at Canadian Motorsport Park. We will see you next time for Multi-Class Madness next Friday night with Hockenheim for round number 2. Until then, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the series and the league. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon as well so you are notified anytime we go live over our 6 nights of racing every single week. Be sure to also get into the comments after the stream if you're watching this post-live stream, or if you're watching us when we're live, get into the chat as well. Any engagement helps gain popularity for the series, helps gain growth for the series and for the channel. It helps us bring you more and better racing content week in and week out. But until next time, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us for the SRWtv Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series Round 1, Canadian Motorsport Park. Bye for now.